So this is why Remy Ma shot her friend.
They say I shot my friend over a band. And imagine what I do to a...
You actually tell me, why would I shoot somebody over? Like, why anything? Like, if people were like, if you jacking, oh, she shot her friend over money. Well, like, how you think I feel about you?
On July 14th, 2007, Remy Ma pulled the trigger, and it changed everything. A Grammy-nominated rapper at the height of her career, suddenly facing attempted murder charges. Fans called it a setup. Prosecutors called it intentional.
Most chicks want to do with a tool like a nightstick. Me, I want a tool with a scope and a nice clip. You know, an M1 or an AR-15 equipped with shell catchers, night visions, and M-beam plus.
Even years later, she brought the shooting up in songs, brushed it off, laughed it off. But behind the bars, behind the lyrics, behind the BET Awards and viral interviews, was someone trying to outrun her past. Now, her past is back.
23-year-old Jason Scott has been arrested in connection to a murder in Queens that dates back to 2021. Investigators are looking into the possibility that it was a murder for hire.
Once you hear the full story, from the shooting to the trial, to what her son is now accused of, you'll start to wonder if the real Remy Ma ever left that car at all. On the night of July 14th, 2007, Remy Ma, real name Remy Smith, walked into the pizza bar in Manhattan's meatpacking district. She wasn't just any guest. She was Remy from Terror Squad. Platinum plaques, street respect. One of the most feared and admired women in rap. She was there for a party, but within hours, it turned into a crime scene. The story begins with a missing $3,000. According to Remy Ma, someone had gone through her purse and taken the money. That someone, she believed, was a close friend, Makeda Barnes Joseph. Makeda was a 23-year-old who had spent time around Remy's circle. She wasn't a stranger. She was considered trusted, close, even family adjacent. But by the end of the night, Remy didn't see her as a friend. She saw her as a thief. After leaving the club, Remy followed Makeda into her own vehicle, a blue Nissan Maxima. The two women argued inside the car. What was said in that vehicle remains disputed. What isn't disputed? Remy pulled out a gun.
They say I shot my friend over a band. And imagine what I do to a band.
You actually tell me shit, why would I shoot somebody over? Like, why anything? Like, if people were like, if you jacking, oh, she shot her friend over money. Well, like, how you think I feel about you?
Makeda was shot in the abdomen at close range, bleeding, terrified, and confused. She says she watched Remy rifle through her purse, then get out of the car and leave her there. Remy didn't call an ambulance. She didn't check on her. Makeda survived. Barely. She underwent surgery and spent weeks recovering. The NYPD didn't waste time. Hours later, Remy Ma turned herself in. She was arrested and charged with multiple felonies, including attempted murder, assault, weapon possession, and coercion. Her mugshot, blank stare, no makeup, no glam, went viral. This was not the image fans were used to. This was something else. The hip-hop world froze. Nobody expected it. But behind the scenes, those close to Remy weren't surprised. According to reports, her temper had been building for years. Industry insiders whispered that Remy had trouble trusting people. Some say her fame made her paranoid. Others blamed the streets she came from, Castle Hill projects in the Bronx, where loyalty was everything and betrayal could get you killed. Still, nobody thought it would come to this. What made the situation worse was the lack of remorse that followed. In the days after the shooting, Remy didn't release a statement. She didn't apologize. And while she later said she was sorry, that didn't come until much later, after the damage was done. The prosecutors claimed the shooting was cold-blooded, that it wasn't a heat-of-the-moment decision, but a deliberate, vengeful act. They painted Remy as a violent threat who used her fame as a shield. And they had eyewitnesses, security footage, medical reports. Makeda's version of events never changed. Remy pulled the gun. Remy pulled the trigger. And Remy left her bleeding. The moment dominated news headlines. Radio shows debated it. Fans split into two camps: those who believed Remy had snapped under pressure, and those who felt she had always been dangerous. Even the courtroom wasn't immune to chaos. After Remy Ma turned herself in, the case moved quickly. Prosecutors charged her with multiple felonies: first-degree assault, attempted murder, criminal possession of a weapon, and witness intimidation.
It was court.
You going with him now?
I agree with that.
I believe it firmly that she's innocent.
Are you happy with today?
I'm innocent.
The victim, Makeda Barnes-Joseph, was recovering in the hospital with a bullet wound to the stomach and multiple surgeries ahead. In court, she told the judge she thought she was going to die that night. She said Remy stood over her, accused her of stealing, and then shot her point blank before going through her purse looking for the missing money. From the beginning, Remy's legal team tried to argue that it was a misunderstanding. They claimed the gun went off accidentally, that Remy never meant to hurt anyone, and that she had panicked in the moment. But the evidence said otherwise. For one, Remy never called for help after the shooting. Instead, she left the scene and was later caught on surveillance footage walking away from the area. That alone damaged her credibility with the jury. Then came the witnesses. Some of the people who were at the club that night told police they saw Remy arguing with Makeda earlier in the evening. Others said Remy was acting paranoid, checking her purse repeatedly and accusing people around her of stealing. But what really raised questions about her character were the incidents that followed after her arrest. One of the most serious accusations came from a man named Sidney Holmes. He was dating a woman who was expected to testify in Remy's case. Just weeks before the trial started, Holmes was jumped at the Players Club in the Bronx. He told the New York Daily News that a group of men, allegedly affiliated with Remy, beat him so badly he needed surgery. His jaw was broken in 2 places, and a metal plate had to be installed in his chin. He said he was fighting for his life and believed it was all connected to the trial. "I was just defending myself. Now my jaw is broken in 2 places. How can they break my face and still be walking the streets?" After the assault, Remy was hit with additional charges: gang assault, witness intimidation, and tampering with a witness. She denied any involvement, but the timing made it hard to ignore. The prosecution argued that she was trying to silence people and control the narrative around the case. In March 2008, Remy Ma was convicted on all counts. The jury found her guilty of intentionally shooting Makeda and engaging in behavior meant to interfere with the legal process. Her sentencing came 2 months later, in May. The victim's injuries, the lack of remorse, and the witness intimidation allegations all played a role in the final decision. While Remy prepared to serve her time, Makeda Barnes-Joseph filed a civil lawsuit. She accused Remy of causing both physical and emotional trauma, and she asked the court for punitive damages. In her legal filing, Makeda stated that she was living in fear, had trouble trusting people, and still suffered from long-term medical complications due to the gunshot wound. She also claimed the incident had destroyed her ability to live a normal life. The public reaction to all of this was intense. Some fans defended Remy, saying she was being unfairly targeted by the system. Others turned their backs on her completely. Radio stations stopped playing her music. Labels backed away. And for the first time in her career, Remy Ma was completely alone. She didn't do many interviews at that time, but in later years, she would say that the experience changed her, that she learned who her real friends were, that she saw how quickly people would abandon you when you're no longer on top, and most importantly, that she didn't want to be remembered as the girl who shot her friend. But it was too late. The mugshot was everywhere. The conviction was public record, and for the next 6 years, she would be known not for her lyrics, but for what happened in the passenger seat of that Nissan. Remy Ma started her prison sentence in 2008. She was 26 years old at the height of her rap career, and suddenly everything had been put on pause. No tour dates, no new albums, just cold concrete walls, routine lockdowns, and years of silence. At first, she kept a low profile. She wasn't giving interviews, and most of the music world moved on without her. The industry is known for being fast and unforgiving, and while some fans waited for her return, many assumed her career was over. But prison didn't break Remy. It changed her. Over time, she started doing interviews from behind bars. She began talking about personal growth, regret, and how the experience was reshaping how she saw the world.
But what's the one thing you miss the most?
The most?
Top 3. You don't have to name one, you can name a few.
Just my son and my family and just chilling.
One of her first big public moments came through an unexpected source, Fat Joe. The two hadn't spoken for years before her arrest. In fact, they were beefing right before she went in. But while serving her sentence, Remy decided to reach out. She had someone call Joe and patch her through to him from the prison phone. She later described the call as awkward but necessary. She didn't want to come home still holding on to anger. When she got on the line, Joe was cold at first. But when she told him, "I miss you, I'm sorry, and I still love you," he said it back. That conversation would lay the foundation for one of the most unexpected reunions in hip-hop. While in prison, Remy also began reading everything she could about the music business. She started making plans. When she wasn't dealing with the emotional weight of her sentence, she was preparing for a second chance. In 2014, after serving 6 years, Remy Ma was released early for good behavior.
Best music! Remix!
Her return wasn't quiet. That same year, she dropped a compilation project called Remy on the Rocks, a collection of old and unreleased tracks meant to reintroduce her voice to the game. But it wasn't just music that marked her comeback. It was the interviews, the talk shows, the transparency. She sat down with outlets and told her story. She admitted that she had made mistakes. She said she was trying to be better, not just as a rapper, but as a woman and a mother. Then came Love and Hip Hop, New York. In 2015, Remy joined the cast for its 6th season. For many viewers, it was their first time seeing the raw, unfiltered side of her life.
Everybody, you was in my text messages talking about me. So do something.
Her relationship with Papoose, her husband and longtime partner, became one of the most talked about parts of the show. Fans connected with their loyalty, the way he stood by her during her prison sentence, and how they were trying to rebuild their family.
My whole world fell apart when Remy went away. Now I'm beyond blessed to have my wife back in my life. Let me do this the right way.
What?
By 2016, Remy had fully stepped back into the spotlight. That year, she and Fat Joe released their joint album Plata o Plomo, Spanish for silver or lead. The lead single, All the Way Up, went platinum and earned 2 Grammy nominations.
Go all the way up. Go all the way up.
It was the kind of comeback nobody had predicted. Remy used the moment to show that she wasn't the same woman who had gone to prison in 2008. She had matured. She was making smarter decisions. And most importantly, she was doing it on her own terms. No label pressure, no ghostwriters, just her and the mic. But for all her growth, there were still signs of the old Remy. Fans noticed that she was quick to snap back at critics online. She still moved like someone who had to watch her back. And although she rarely spoke about the shooting anymore, her silence only made the rumors grow louder. Remy had survived prison. She had rebuilt her brand. She was getting magazine covers, walking red carpets, and winning awards again. But the calm wouldn't last long, because in 2019, Remy was back in court, this time over another alleged assault. Just 5 years after walking out of prison, Remy Ma found herself back under investigation, this time for allegedly assaulting another reality TV star. In April 2019, Brittney Taylor, known for her role on Love and Hip Hop New York, accused Remy Ma of punching her in the face during an altercation backstage at a benefit concert in Manhattan. Taylor posted photos online showing a bruised and swollen eye.
Remy,
Why are you coming
Because
for
I
me,
don't
though?
The incident gained traction quickly, partly because both women were part of the same VH1 universe. Britney said she had tried to protect Remy's stepdaughter from another altercation earlier that evening, but when she approached Remy to explain, it escalated. She said the rapper struck her in front of witnesses and then left the scene. A warrant was issued for Remy Ma's arrest. She turned herself in, was booked, and faced charges of misdemeanor assault. It was the kind of headline that immediately brought back memories of 2007. Critics didn't hesitate to point out the pattern, while fans waited for Remy's version of the story. Her attorney, Dawn Florio, came out strong with a denial. She claimed that Remy wasn't even at the location at the time of the alleged incident, citing security footage and time-stamped photos that showed her elsewhere. Florio also said the entire story had been fabricated for attention and that Britney was trying to create a scandal. Remy Ma was released without bail, but the situation put her probation at risk. If the court found her guilty, she could have been sent back to prison to serve the rest of her original sentence. That possibility loomed heavily, especially since Remy had been working hard to clean up her image. As the case played out, the public watched closely. Britney kept posting updates, maintaining her side of the story. Remy stayed quiet, letting her legal team do most of the talking. In the end, after reviewing the evidence and speaking with witnesses, prosecutors dropped all charges due to lack of evidence. The case was closed, but the damage had already been done. Even without a conviction, the headlines brought Remy Ma's past back into focus. The idea that she might still be violent, still reactive, and still dangerous was back in the conversation, and it wouldn't be the last time that questions about her character would surface. Because just a few years later, her lyrics would reignite one of the darkest moments of her life, and fans weren't laughing. By 22, Remy Ma had successfully re-entered the mainstream. She was being booked on radio shows, headlining concerts, and even launching her own female rap battle league, Chrome 23. But just when it seemed like her past was finally behind her, she brought it right back to the surface, this time in her music. That year, Remy released a song titled "Outta Control." Right in the opening verse, she referenced the 2007 shooting that sent her to prison. It wasn't subtle. It wasn't coded. She addressed it directly.
They say I shot my friend over a band, and imagine what I do to a...
The line spread across social media instantly. Fans paused. Comment sections lit up. Some called it bold. Others said it was tone-deaf. But the overwhelming reaction was discomfort. One fan tweeted, "Why would Remy Ma start the song off like that?" Another wrote, "Sis, that's not the flex you think it is. It's giving broke." The backlash was quick and widespread. Many felt the lyric showed zero remorse for what had happened to Makeda Barnes-Joseph. After all, this wasn't a fictional story. This was a real woman who was shot, hospitalized, and left to live with permanent damage. For critics, the lyric wasn't just offensive. It reopened the question of whether Remy had truly learned anything during her time in prison. Had she grown, or was she just using the incident as a punchline? Remy never publicly addressed the backlash. She didn't issue a statement. She didn't clarify the lyric's intent. And as usual, her silence allowed the speculation to grow. For some fans, it felt like she was trying to reclaim the narrative. For others, it felt like she never actually saw anything wrong with what happened in that car. And while her rap career kept moving, another problem was building behind the scenes. Because in 2024, her son was arrested, facing charges that sounded eerily familiar. On June 18, 2024, Remy Ma's name was back in headlines. But this time, it wasn't about her. It was about her son. Jason Scott, known to some as Jay Janafi, had mostly stayed out of the spotlight. He had appeared briefly on Love and Hip Hop alongside Remy, but in recent years he had avoided public attention. That changed when NYPD officers arrested him in connection to a 2021 fatal shooting in Queens. The charge was serious: first-degree murder. According to police, Jason and another man, 22-year-old Richard Swigert, were accused of shooting 43-year-old Darius Guillibeau in broad daylight at the intersection of 148th Street and Rockaway Boulevard in Springfield Gardens. Investigators believe the incident may have involved a dispute or possibly a targeted hit. Both suspects were also charged with criminal possession of a weapon and reckless endangerment. The timing made things worse. Just as Remy was pushing her rap league Chrome 23 and making major appearances with Fat Joe, her son's arrest brought unwanted attention to her personal life. And because of her own history with the criminal justice system, many critics wasted no time drawing parallels between mother and son. Remy Ma didn't hold a press conference. She didn't release a video statement. But her legal team did issue a response through attorney Dawn M. Florio. Remy Ma wishes to address this situation personally, but has been strongly advised not to. She is committed to proving Jason's innocence and supporting her child during this time. The public response was mixed. Some fans expressed sympathy, acknowledging how hard it must be for Remy to relive the courtroom experience, this time as a mother. Others questioned her influence, pointing to the shooting lyric from Outta Control and wondering what kind of example she had set. Online, the story spread fast. News outlets began referring to Jason as Remy Ma's son, tying every development in the case back to her name. It didn't matter that he was an adult. The internet treated it like it was her case all over again. Old interviews resurfaced, including one where Remy said that her son used to visit her in prison and that they had grown up together. She once described him as her pumpkin, her firstborn, and the one she felt most protective over. Now, that same son was being held on charges, facing the possibility of life in prison. What hurt even more was the silence from her family's inner circle. Remy had once said that her son hated being in the public eye, that he blocked her from his social media and preferred to keep his distance from celebrity drama. But now, the cameras were on him, and everyone wanted answers. As of now, the case is still active. The court has not reached a verdict, and like her own legal team did years ago, Remy's attorneys are urging the public to wait for the full story. Still, the damage to her public image is already showing. And just when it seemed like things couldn't get any more chaotic, Remy's personal life took another hit, this time from inside her own home. Before the assault charges, before her son's arrest, before the divorce rumors and cheating scandals, Remy Ma's name was already dominating headlines. But back in 2017, it wasn't because of a crime. It was because of a microphone. That year, she reignited one of the most famous rap feuds in modern hip-hop, her war with Nicki Minaj. The tension had been simmering for years. Both had claimed the title of Queen of Rap in their lyrics. Both had made subtle references to each other. But for a while, neither one made the first official move. That changed in February 2017 when Remy released a diss track titled Shether, a 7-minute assault on Nicki Minaj's career, personal life, and reputation. The diss was direct. It wasn't speculation. It was a full-on attack. Remy called Nicki out for using ghostwriters, mentioned alleged plastic surgeries, and accused her of sleeping her way to the top. She even included a cover image of a dismembered Barbie doll, a direct hit at Nicki's Barbie branding. Nicki didn't respond immediately, which only fueled the hype. Remy followed up with a second track titled Another One, pressing Nicki for silence and doubling down on her claims. In interviews, Remy said the feud wasn't just about lyrics, it was about things happening behind the scenes. People getting blocked from award shows, radio deals being pulled, backdoor tactics that, according to Remy, Nicki had used to maintain her position at the top. Nicki finally responded with No Frauds, featuring Drake and Lil Wayne. The record took jabs at Remy but didn't match the raw aggression of Shether. Some fans saw it as a calculated move. Others said Nicki had already won by staying focused on her chart position, while Remy chased headlines. But for Remy, Shether was bigger than sales. It was about reclaiming territory. At the BET Awards that same year, she won Best Female Hip Hop Artist, breaking NICKI's 7-year streak. On stage, she quoted Shether in her acceptance speech. That moment made it clear. This was more than a beef. It was a power shift. Still, the feud came at a cost. As NICKI's fan base, the Barbs, attacked online, some brands and platforms pulled back from Remy. Others called the feud a distraction from her post-prison progress. Even industry insiders who once celebrated her comeback began to distance themselves from the drama. Eventually, the battle cooled down, but it never truly ended. Remy stopped speaking on it in public, and NICKI shifted focus to new music. But every time Remy appeared in the media, whether for her battle league, her music, or her personal life, people brought it back up. Some still believe the feud hurt Remy's long-term growth. Others think it was necessary, that it forced the industry to stop ignoring her. Either way, the damage had already been done. Between the shooting case, the controversies, the lyrics, and now her son's legal battle, Remy's legacy is no longer about just one moment. It's a string of headlines, each more complicated than the last. So this is why Remy Ma shot her friend. But that was only the beginning, because every time she tried to rebuild, whether it was with a new track, a TV deal, or a public apology, something else dragged her back into the spotlight. From a prison cell to platinum records, from courtroom drama to rap beefs, from a shooting that nearly ended someone's life to lyrics that made light of it. She's been called a survivor, a villain, a queen, and a cautionary tale. And now, with her son facing a murder charge and her marriage to Papoose all but over, Remy Ma's story feels far from finished. The question isn't whether she can come back. The question is whether she ever really left the past behind at all. Anyway, that's it for the video, folks. Bye.